Welcome to Web Walkers Tarantula Thursday, and this is going to be part two of the top 10 most underrated species, in my opinion. Now, number five, I'm going to do kind of like a double, because I'm going to say it's a tie, but they're both in the same genus. Psalmopoeus. I've heard that pronounced so many different ways. I'm not sure if that's the correct one or not. But both the Ecclesiasticus and the Reduncus, I think, is a tie for five because of that genus. Those two you rarely ever hear anyone talk about. Um, they're just, I don't know, I think they're really, really underappreciated. The Reduncus in particular, I think, is way more beautiful than people give it credit for. It's kind of got like a multi-color. There's different shades of the like greens and like a goldish color in there, browns, whatnot brown. It's, I don't know. It just, you have to see it. And I'm hoping when I feed it that it's going to come out enough that you'll be able to actually see it. If not, I'll have to post a picture. But anyway, I really feel it's very unappreciated. Same thing with the Ecclesiasticus. It is a much more attractive tarantula than people give it credit for. Um, I think both of them also have a tendency to be a little bit more unique in the genus, especially the Reduncus, which people call the Costa Rican orange mouth. I'm not really sure why it's called the orange mouth, but anyway, it's for something that's really technically a arboreal tarantula. It doesn't really behave like an arboreal tarantula, which I think is part of its appeal. It's very, very different. I mean, it'll climb up like an arboreal, but it spends a lot of time at the base of the tree. So in your enclosure, it's going to make a home at the bottom of the bark, and it will use substrate, and it will use leaf litter, it will use its webbing and whatnot to create a den at the base. So sometimes you'll see it up, and it'll be like on display like an arboreal tarantula, but a lot of times it's going to be in that den. So it just to me that just makes it more interesting for that genus because it's so different from the others in that genus. Okay, hopefully she's going to come out. This one is a female. Oh crap. Well, that cricket's definitely going to die. She's definitely going to get it because he went right into her den. But unfortunately, that means we're not going to get to see her. And number four, and I'm probably going to completely butcher this one, the Coriomeocnemus hogeye. Now, this is the purple femur tarantula. So it is a old world from Malaysia. Um, it is fossorial from the highlands. And as an adult, it's got beautiful colors. Mine is not an adult yet. So you can see it in the burrow. Let's see if I can lure it out. Well, I don't think it's going to come out. It went deeper in. Some of the other holes. Strike two. So for all these that are not cooperating and not coming out so you can see them, I'm going to do like the last video and just post pictures. Number three is one that I no longer have. I had it before the fire, but it was one of them that perished. It was my favorite of the Avicularia genus, the Pucallpa, which is the Mardi Gras pinto. This is another one that I picked because a lot of them in this genus get more love, more attention, more breeding, and I'm not really sure why it's not more popular than it is because the colors are really cool. Think Mardi Gras colors. And like the last one, the Hoggy, or Hogeye, sorry, This one also is very different in behavior from the others in the genus. The tunnels it creates is different from what other Avicularia do. It doesn't spend quite so much time at the top as a lot of the other Avicularia do. I think it's a little bit hardier. That brings us to number two. And number two, I'm going to do the genus as a whole. This one is so underrated, I don't even have one in my own collection. And that would be the Bonatina genus. There's quite a few in this genus that I do want in my collection at some point. I just haven't gotten one yet. I want to say it's Tanzeri. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I think is probably one of the prettier ones in the genus. Um, there's just, I don't know why I haven't gotten one yet, because every time I see them available, and the Tanzeri is the one I do not see available as often, so that's the reason why I'm saying that one more for the genus. So I guess you can officially say number two is Bonatina Tanzeri, because I see others in the genus available a little bit more frequently, but the genus as a whole is definitely underrated, underrepresented, not appreciated anywhere near enough, and I think that should change. So that brings us to number one. And this one I almost didn't put on the list at all, just because I hate the genus name as far as trying to pronounce it. Um, don't come at me if I butcher this. I have practiced and practiced to try to get it right, but Cleocao. Um, and believe it or not, the one I'm going with is Verdezi. This is one I did not have prior to the fire, but it was gifted to me after. And I've been raising it up. It has molted for me a couple of times. And with each mold, it just looks so much more beautiful. It is um, almost a monochromatic tarantula. So some people might think, oh, well, that's kind of boring. It really isn't. Um, it's called the Mexican Gray. Right now, mine is a little bit more coppery. I'm not really sure how to describe the color, to be honest with you. It is not full grown yet, so I'm sure it's going to go through some color changes. Um, but this one, I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see when I go into the enclosure, because it stays out in the open quite a bit. And sometimes it does try to get out. I don't think it will, because usually before it does, it just freezes and stops. But it's got a more interesting personality than any of the others that I have in the genus. I do love the Vagans. It is one of my favorites. Very, very hardy. If you're a beginner and you want something that you can actually make rookie mistakes on and not kill it, T. Vagans. Seriously. It was one of my, actually, it was my first sling that I got. It was a freebie, because typically I try to get something that was at least a juvenile when I first started. So the T. Vagans was my first sling that I was raising up, and actually had gotten to the point where it was big enough I could sex it, and it was a female, and of course it perished in the fire. But now I've got three slings, so um, they're still very, very small, and it's going to take a while to raise them up to the point of the one that I had prior to the fire. But even though I just have a soft spot in my heart for that particular species, the Verdezi is so overlooked and so underappreciated. And hopefully you're going to see why I made this number one on the most underappreciated or underrated tarantulas. Um, Fingers crossed it actually will cooperate and not run and hide. But let's go check it out. So there it is, being very, very cooperative, very docile, super chill. And maybe you can see what I'm talking about with that color on the carapace. I don't even know how you describe that color. If you know how to describe that color, let me know in the comments because I cannot figure out how to describe it. I think it's beautiful. As you can see, it's got kind of a sheen to it. And there he goes, and or she, he or she, don't know yet. Yeah, he's starting to move towards that top, so I'm probably gonna have to stop this and put the lid on. Um, but he's pretty cool, or she. I have a tendency to say he on this one. I do get that energy from this one, so I am leaning it's probably going to be male. Um, Hopefully, on its next molt, I'll be able to sex it. But I mean, just how can you not appreciate? I can't even, get this camera to do justice to it because there's almost like a sheen on the carapace. So when the light hits it just right, okay, I move. So if he tries to get out, I'm right here. There, see that? There's almost like a rose kind of color in there, like a rosish brown. Oh, there the butt goes up in the air. Butt in the air, just don't care. He never flicks hairs. Um, but yeah, he's just, I love him. So thank you for tuning in. That was the completion of part 2 of my top 10 most underrated species, according to me. Um, Next week is when I'm going to do the tarantulas and sound for Tarantula Thursdays. And there's going to be a lot of information I'm going to give on that because there's been a lot of studies. And I personally have found what I've been reading up on to be really fascinating as far as how they sense sound, what different sounds do for them, sounds you actually don't want around them, especially at feeding time. Because, yeah, there are certain sounds you do not want in the room when you're feeding. And I'll explain that why next week.